Wrinkle in Time is directed by Ava DuVernay, and I hope I pronounced that right. She directed Selma, which, despite the subject matter, which is tough to tackle in a great way, it was really good, and she showed the directing chops. And I will say this: A Wrinkle in Time, and it's based on a book, and I'm not familiar. It may be based on a series of books. I don't really know. I was just told it was based on a book. I'm not familiar with how the book is. Obviously, it's a children's book, given the scope of this movie. But it was a movie that seemed like it wanted to be more epic than it actually was. If you guys like a bit of sci-fi, and it wrote quite a bit of sci-fi, and some good themes mixed in, and you want it with a PG format, this may be the movie for you. And I do want to say right off the bat, spoilers. I'm going to spoil this. There isn't much to this movie, but I am going to spoil, so I put it in the title. But spoilers. I will give credit to Storm Reed, who played Meg, the lead girl in this. I think she's got a really bright future. I thought she did really well, except maybe her reacting to all the fantasy stuff that was happening. Like where Oprah at one point appeared, and Oprah was like about 30 feet tall or something like that. It was like Attack of the 50-foot Oprah, and she's just like, "Oh hey, you're here. Hi Oprah." I don't know. I just found that a little bit weird. But Meg loses her father. Her father just disappears. Her father played by Chris Pine. She was pining after her father. That is an excellent pun. Terrible pun, but also at the same time excellent. Chris Pine, you would think would be used to traveling space and actually know how to get back home. So what happens basically is he he feels that you can travel the universe by just using your mind essentially, or figuring out certain frequencies and travel. I don't know necessarily. The science isn't really important. It's a movie about family and about a girl, despite all her flaws, understanding who she is. And when her father disappears shortly after they adopt, a younger brother, it seems to be like, a kind of a fractured family situation. Because people talk in school and everything about how, her father abandoned her, and kids can be cruel and this kind of stuff. And then it dives into a few more things like later in the movie about why people do the things they do, and why they're super nice to people because they have a bad life at home. Maybe why they're super mean to people because they also have a bad life at home and they hate themselves. Teen angst and young angst can really be an unfortunate killer. That's not quite where this one goes since it's only PG, but I will say that the special effects are They aren't great. They aren't terrible. Some of them actually, the locations, the onset locations are actually really striking. Like some of that stuff, that's not green screen stuff, is actually really striking. Very visual, very lush and everything. But where the movie tends to falter, I'm going to say right off the bat, I'm not a fan of Oprah Winfrey, but you have Oprah Winfrey who plays Mrs. Witch, you have Reese Witherspoon who plays Mrs. Whatsit, and Mindy from the Mindy Project playing Mrs. Who, and they are three celestial galaxy, based beings, and not jelly beans, that talked to Meg like they had a signal that sent them there, a pole that sent them there, and they were trying, because they heard her father's voice somewhere out in the cosmos, and so they all set out, and of course the younger brother, who I'm going to be kind to, because kid actors, it can't be easy to be a kid actor and actually emote. I thought they gave the guy, the little kid that played, Derek, that played the little brother. I thought they gave him they gave him a little bit too much, and I thought maybe, just for it, maybe he wasn't quite up to snuff. He didn't do bad. He just didn't do great. But again, that could be a lot. That could be a lot to the material. A lot of the dialogue seems really stilted and really like forced and everything, where it's like, oh cliche, oh cliche, oh cliche. But at the same time, this movie is also appealing to children and to families and that kind of stuff. Will children like this movie? Probably. I don't know if all children will like it, but it's got a fantasy, it's got a whimsy about it, and some good stuff. The pacing is a little bit off though. Like it feels like a movie that again tried to reach for the stars and could almost not get in the clouds. But at the same time, there is a certain charm to it, like the feeling of family and she. And by the way, Meg does find her father. I'm just going to say that right there. Knows Zach Galifianakis is in it. I'm not the biggest fan of him, even though I don't think he's like the worst comedian. I think he can be funny. I just don't see the appeal with him. But everybody plays their roles right. And again, I'm not even the biggest fan of Oprah. She was fine because she wasn't in the movie a ton. Did it seem like a bit of an ego trip for her? Well, yeah, because that's kind of what Oprah does. But Reese Witherspoon played her role fine. I think Mindy's a pretty, I think she's a pretty good actress. I don't know if she was great here, but the real star of the entire movie is, of course, Meg, and I think that actress has a very, very bright future. It's silly. It's one of those where it's like really about self-discovery, but it's done in a decent way. I will admit the family stuff did get to me and actually pulled me in a little bit, and that is because I can sympathize with wanting to have a complete family. Now I was raised by both parents, and I love both my parents, and they're still together and everything. So I'm not trying to say that, but I can sympathize with feeling like a parent is distant, or even if they're here, maybe they're not. That kind of stuff. And I mean, I'm not to get too personal and everything, but I also, just based on what other people have told me about either not having a mother there, or not having their father there, or being raised in a foster home, being raised by foster parents, it can be tough, and it's tough on a child. But the thing is the love that the parents have for their children, and the love that a bonded family can have, even when one of the siblings is adopted, is truly it's truly nice and inspiring and everything. And okay, yeah, it's maybe it's handled in a sappy way with this movie and stuff like that. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a sap, but I enjoyed that aspect of the movie. I enjoyed the family aspect of the movie. Special effects, again, some were good, some were bad. Is the movie great? It was better than I expected, but I had no expectations for it because I had no idea what it was about. No clue. It was either between this and a hurricane heist. And by the time you watch this, I might actually be up, in a few hours and watching the hurricane heist in a theater 2 towns over. Just because I don't sleep and I love movies. But I can't say it was great. It did surprise me, kind of like how The Sorcerer's Apprentice did, because I thought I was going to hate The Sorcerer's Apprentice. And I actually ended up enjoying it to a degree. So yeah, I'm going to give A Wrinkle in Time a C+. It was, of the 2 movies I saw, and by the way, my Strangers 2 Pray at Night review/rant is up, and I say that /rant because I was vicious on it. I'm going to say C+ though for A Wrinkle in Time because at least it tried. I'm not going to say it tried to be too ambitious, but at the same time, for the scope of it, it wasn't quite. It wasn't quite the big film that it needed to be for the scope it was. It does have franchise written all over it with the hook at the end. I don't know if they're going to go with the sequel, because again, I don't know how many movies are in the books, or how many books are that they could turn into movies. I don't know if it's like a huge series or whatever, or just a couple movies. But again, C+. It had its enjoyable moments. It's still it's above average, not by much. But I wasn't offended by it. I will say that much. I was pleasantly surprised, even if I didn't fully enjoy the movie. But anyway, that's what I gotta say. Did you enjoy Wrinkle in Time? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe also. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you soon.